Unlimited Power. Written and published by Audiobooks. Have you ever wondered what life would be like if nothing could stand in your way? Not other people's opinions, not your past failures, not even your own limiting beliefs. Unlimited power. Nothing against you anymore. Reveals the hidden truth that most people never discover. The only real obstacles you face are the ones you've unknowingly created within yourself. When you master the principles in this book, you'll experience a profound shift as the invisible barriers dissolve, leaving you with an unshakable inner authority that transforms how you navigate every aspect of life. This isn't about temporary motivation or superficial change. It's about awakening to your inherent power that has been waiting dormant within you all along. Lesson 1. Internal authority supersedes external control. From our earliest moments, we learn to seek permission from others. Parents, teachers, bosses, society, all seem to hold the keys to what we can and cannot do. This external authority becomes so deeply ingrained that we forget a fundamental truth. No force outside ourselves has power over our inner state without our unconscious agreement. Consider how often you felt powerless because someone else made you feel angry, sad, or insufficient. In those moments, you handed over the controls to your emotional state, believing others held authority over your experience. This invisible transfer of power happens thousands of times each day. So subtle, we barely notice it happening. We seek approval before making decisions, wait for validation before feeling worthy, and let others' opinions determine our self-worth. But what if you discovered that this external authority was merely an illusion, a shared agreement you never consciously signed up for? The truth is that your internal authority has always been primary. Every time you felt controlled by outside forces, you were actually experiencing the effects of your own unconscious permission. This isn't about blame or shame. It's about recognizing where true power resides. Think of internal authority like a muscle that has atrophied from lack of use. Each time you defer to external control, this muscle weakens further. But just as a weak muscle can be strengthened through consistent exercise, your internal authority grows stronger each time you choose to honor it. This strengthening begins with awareness, noticing those moments when you automatically look outside yourself for permission, validation, or direction. The shift from external to internal authority doesn't happen overnight. It requires patience, practice, and most importantly, courage. You'll face resistance from others who are invested in maintaining their perceived control over you. You'll battle your own conditioning that whispers who are you to decide. But with each small act of self-trust, each moment of choosing your own authority over external pressure, your power grows. This power isn't about domination or independence from others. Rather, it's about establishing healthy boundaries and authentic relationships based on mutual respect rather than control. When you fully claim your internal authority, you paradoxically become more capable of meaningful connection because you're no longer trying to source your power from others. Take a moment now to reflect. In what area of your life are you still waiting for someone else's permission to move forward? What would change if you realized that you've held the authority all along? The journey to unlimited power begins here, with the recognition that your internal authority has always been supreme, waiting only for you to claim it. The world will continue attempting to exercise control over you. But from this moment forward, remember, nothing has power over your inner state unless you grant it. Your authority was never given to you by others, so it cannot be taken away. It simply awaits your recognition and activation. Lesson 2. Perception creates reality. Your entire universe exists within your mind. While physical reality may seem fixed and objective, quantum physics has proven that the act of observation fundamentally alters what is being observed. This isn't just abstract theory. It's the operating system of your daily life. Every experience you have first passes through the lens of your perceptions, which act as invisible filters coloring everything you see, hear, and feel. Consider two people facing the exact same situation, perhaps a job loss. One perceives it as a devastating setback leading to anxiety, depression, and desperate action. The other sees it as an exciting opportunity for reinvention, feeling energized and open to new possibilities. Same external circumstance, radically different internal and eventual external outcomes. The difference lies not in the event itself, but in the perceptual framework through which each person processes it. Your brain receives millions of bits of sensory information every second, but can only consciously process a tiny fraction. Your perceptions act as a gatekeeper, determining what gets through and how it's interpreted. These perceptions aren't random. They're programmed by your past experiences, beliefs, and expectations. When you understand this, you realize that your current reality is largely a reflection of your historical perceptual patterns running on autopilot. The true power comes in recognizing that these patterns can be consciously reprogrammed. Just as a photographer can change the image by adjusting the camera's filters and focus, you can deliberately shift how you perceive any situation. This isn't positive thinking or denial. It's about expanding your perceptual range to see more possibilities and choose the most empowering interpretation available. Start with small experiments. When something negative happens today, pause and ask yourself, what else could this mean? How else could I see this? What opportunities might be hidden here? Notice how different perceptual choices create different emotional states, which drive different actions, which generate different results. Your perception literally becomes your reality through this chain reaction. Advanced practitioners learn to hold multiple perspectives simultaneously, switching between them fluidly as needed. They develop perceptual flexibility, the ability to see situations from various angles and choose the most useful viewpoint for their purposes. This isn't about forcing an artificial positive spin, but about expanding your perceptual palette to include more possibilities and ponder. The world arranges itself according to your dominant perceptions. Change how you see, and everything else must shift to align with your new vision. This is the hidden mechanism behind what many call manifestation or the law of attraction. When you truly grasp this principle, you'll never again be a victim of circumstances, because you'll understand that circumstances themselves are simply reflections of perception waiting to be transformed. What reality would reveal itself if you consciously chose to perceive yourself as totally capable, the universe as fundamentally supportive, and every experience as happening for your highest good? The answer can only be discovered through direct experimentation with your own perceptual powers. Lesson 3. Energy flows where resistance ends. Have you ever noticed how pushing against a heavy door becomes effortless the moment you realize it opens the other way? This simple experience mirrors one of life's most profound truths. The energy we spend resisting our current reality could instead become the fuel for creating what we truly desire. Most people expend tremendous energy fighting against what already exists. They resist their circumstances, their emotions, their past experiences, and even their own thoughts. This constant state of resistance creates an exhausting internal war that depletes the very energy needed for transformation. Like a person trying to swim upstream, they exhaust themselves while making minimal progress. The path to unlimited power requires a fundamental shift in how we relate to our present moment experiences. Rather than meeting life's challenges with rigid resistance, we can learn to move like water, flowing around obstacles while maintaining our essential direction. This doesn't mean passive acceptance or resignation to circumstances we wish to change. Instead, it means acknowledging what is without wasting energy trying to deny its existence. Consider how much mental and emotional energy you spend resisting simple truths: that a relationship has ended, that a mistake was made, that an opportunity was lost, or that someone else succeeded where you failed. Each point of resistance becomes a power leak, draining away the creative force that could be channeled into constructive action. The moment you fully accept what is without adding layers of judgment or resistance, that energy becomes available for moving forward. This principle operates on both personal and professional levels. Organizations waste countless resources fighting against market changes instead of adapting and innovating. Individuals burn out trying to force outcomes instead of working with the natural flow of circumstances. The alternative is to develop what martial artists call soft power, the ability to accomplish more by working with forces rather than against them. To begin practicing this principle, notice where you feel tension, frustration, or a sense of pushing in your life. These sensations often indicate points of unconscious resistance. Rather than immediately trying to change or fix the situation, simply observe it fully. What happens when you allow yourself to acknowledge reality exactly as it is? Many find that solutions and opportunities naturally emerge once they stop expending energy on resistance. The paradox of power is that it increases the moment we release our rigid grip on how things should be. When we cease exhausting ourselves in battles with reality, we discover an enormous reservoir of creative energy waiting to be channeled into bringing our visions to life. What might become possible for you if you redirected all the energy currently tied up in resistance toward creating what you truly desire? The river doesn't fight the rock. It flows around it, wearing it smooth over time while staying true to its course. Your power awaits in learning to do the same. Lesson 4. Silence reveals strength. In a world that celebrates noise, those who have discovered genuine power understand the profound impact of silence. The truly powerful rarely feel compelled to announce their capabilities or defend their positions. They simply embody their strength through presence and purposeful action. This silent confidence emerges not from arrogance, but from an unshakable inner knowing that requires no external validation. The art of strategic silence begins with deep listening. When we quiet our own mental chatter and need to be heard, we access levels of understanding that remain forever hidden to those who dominate conversations. Through intentional silence, we perceive the subtle energies, unspoken fears, and underlying motivations that shape human interaction. This awareness becomes an invisible advantage in every relationship and negotiation. Consider how nature demonstrates this principle. The mighty oak tree doesn't shout about its strength. It simply grows, endures, and provides shelter without commentary. The deep ocean holds immense power in its silent depths, while surface waves crash and foam. In human affairs, too, those who feel compelled to constantly assert their authority often reveal their underlying insecurity. True power needs no advertisement. The practice of powerful silence extends beyond mere absence of speech. It manifests as a quality of presence that others can feel, a gravitational field that naturally draws people in and commands attention without demand. When you speak from this place of grounded silence, your words carry weight precisely because they are chosen carefully and offered sparingly. Each statement becomes an intentional creation rather than a reactive noise. This silent strength becomes particularly vital in challenging situations. When others are triggered into emotional reactions, the one who maintains calm silence holds the true power in the room. Rather than meeting aggression with aggression or defensiveness with defensiveness, strategic silence creates a space for wisdom to emerge. It allows you to respond rather than react, to influence rather than impose. Developing this capacity requires a fundamental shift in how we view communication. Instead of measuring our impact by how much we say, we learn to gauge it by how deeply we listen and how purposefully we speak. This may feel uncomfortable at first, as silence often triggers our insecurities about being passive or uninvolved. Yet with practice, we discover that silence is not weakness. It is the foundation of genuine strength. Take a moment now to reflect. In your next important conversation, what might change if you focused more on creating powerful silence than filling space with words? Let your presence speak louder than any argument or explanation could. Your true power emerges not from dominating the conversation, but from holding the space where wisdom can arise. Lesson 5. Meaning transcends circumstances. Every moment of your life carries precisely the meaning you assign to it. This profound truth often escapes our notice as we move through our days, unconsciously accepting predetermined meanings for the events we encounter. When you receive a rejection letter, lose a competition, or face an unexpected setback, your mind instantly generates a meaning for that experience. But what if you understood that this meaning-making process is entirely within your control? Consider how two people can experience the identical situation yet walk away with completely different emotional states and outcomes. One person loses their job and spirals into depression, viewing it as proof of their inadequacy. Another person loses their job and feels liberated, seeing it as the universe's way of pushing them toward their true calling. The circumstance hasn't changed, only the meaning assigned to it has shifted dramatically. Your mind is constantly weaving narratives around the raw data of your experiences, but these stories are not fixed reality. They are interpretations, and you possess the power to consciously choose which interpretations serve your highest good. When you face criticism, you can label it as an attack on your worth or receive it as valuable feedback for your growth. When you encounter obstacles, you can view them as evidence that you're on the wrong path or see them as necessary challenges, strengthening you for even greater achievements. This power to assign meaning extends beyond individual incidents to encompass your entire life story. You can interpret your past as a series of failures that prove your limitations, or you can see it as the perfect training ground that prepared you for your current moment of opportunity. Every scar can be viewed as damage or as evidence of your resilience. Every rejection can represent unworthiness or redirect you toward your authentic path. The most powerful people throughout history understood this principle intimately. They refused to accept disempowering meanings for their circumstances, no matter how challenging. Nelson Mandela transformed his imprisonment from a punishment into a crucible for developing unshakable inner strength. Viktor Frankl discovered in the concentration camps that while he couldn't control his circumstances, he maintained absolute sovereignty over the meaning he gave to his experiences. Your power to assign meaning is not just philosophical. It's practical and immediate. Right now, you can examine any challenging situation in your life and ask yourself, what if this isn't happening to me, but for me? What meaning could I give this experience that would make me stronger, wiser, or more capable? This simple shift in meaning-making can transform your most painful obstacles into your greatest opportunities for growth. The true measure of your power lies not in your ability to control external circumstances, but in your capacity to assign empowering meanings to whatever life presents. When you fully embrace this truth, you'll discover that no circumstance can ever truly limit you, because meaning always transcends circumstance. Lesson 6. Response outweighs stimulus. Between every event that happens to you and your reaction to it lies a sacred space, a moment of infinite possibility. This space, though often microscopically brief, contains the seed of your true power. Most people live their entire lives without discovering this space, automatically reacting to whatever stimulus presents itself, like a puppet jerked by invisible strings of conditioning and habit. The reality is that your power never resided in controlling what happens to you. Life will continue to present challenges, obstacles, and unexpected turns, regardless of your preparation or position. The real power lies in your sovereign ability to choose your response to whatever arises. This choice point represents the difference between living at the mercy of circumstances and wielding genuine personal authority. Consider how many times you've regretted an automatic reaction, a harsh word spoken in anger, a decision made in fear, or an opportunity missed due to hesitation. These moments weren't failures of circumstance, but failures to recognize and utilize the response space. When you understand that your response carries more weight than whatever triggered it, you begin to approach life's challenges differently. Instead of bracing against triggers, you learn to welcome them as opportunities to exercise your response muscles. The brain's natural tendency is to create shortcuts, automatically matching familiar stimuli with habitual responses. This biological efficiency served our ancestors well when quick reactions meant survival. But in today's complex world, this same mechanism often undermines our effectiveness. The good news is that through conscious practice, you can expand the gap between stimulus and response, creating room for choice where none seemed to exist before. This expanded awareness begins with simple physical triggers and gradually extends to emotional and interpersonal situations. Notice how your body tenses before responding to a critical email, or how your breath changes when someone challenges your opinion. These physical cues become your allies, signaling the presence of that precious space between stimulus and response. With practice, you can stretch these moments from milliseconds into mindful choices. The most powerful responses often come not from what you do, but from what you choose not to do. The angry email you don't send, the defensive reaction you don't express, the impulsive decision you don't make. These represent mastery of the response space. As you develop this capacity, you'll find yourself responding rather than reacting, choosing rather than being chosen for, creating rather than being created by circumstances. Take a moment now to identify one recurring trigger in your life. Perhaps a critical colleague, a challenging family member, or a stressful situation. Instead of focusing on changing or avoiding the trigger, imagine expanding the space between that trigger and your habitual response. What new possibilities might exist in that expanded space? Your power awaits in that pause, in that breath, in that moment of conscious choice. Lesson 7. Clarity precedes creation. The mind operates like a sophisticated guidance system, constantly adjusting our trajectory based on the coordinates we provide. When these coordinates are precise and unwavering, our internal navigation system works with remarkable efficiency to bring us exactly where we intend to go. But when our desired destination remains fuzzy or undefined, we find ourselves drifting aimlessly, wondering why meaningful progress feels so elusive. Consider how differently you move through your home in broad daylight versus complete darkness. In the light, each step is purposeful and direct. You know exactly where you're going and how to get there. This same principle applies to every aspect of life where we seek to create change. Vague intentions like being happier or having more success are like trying to navigate in twilight. You can make out general shapes, but lack the crystal clarity needed for confident movement. The universe responds to specificity with uncanny precision. When you can articulate exactly what you want to create, down to the smallest detail, you activate powerful forces both within and around you. Your reticular activating system begins filtering reality differently, bringing to your attention opportunities and resources that were always present but previously invisible to your unfocused awareness. Your decision-making becomes razor-sharp because you can instantly evaluate whether choices align with or detract from your crystalline vision. This principle extends beyond individual goals to encompass your entire life direction. Many drift through existence, reacting to whatever circumstances present themselves, never taking the time to get absolutely clear about what they want their life to represent. But those who have experienced breakthrough success in any domain invariably point to moments of intense clarity as the catalyst, times when they could see their desired future with such vivid detail that it felt more real than their current reality. The path to such clarity requires regular communion with your deepest self. You must be willing to sit in silence, asking yourself penetrating questions. What do I truly want to create? What impact do I wish to have? What legacy do I want to leave? The answers may not come immediately, but persistence in this inquiry inevitably leads to moments of startling clarity where your true path reveals itself with undeniable certainty. Think of clarity as the blueprint that precedes any magnificent structure. No great building was ever constructed from vague notions or approximate plans. Similarly, your most meaningful creations, whether in business, relationships, art, or personal development, must first exist as precise visions in your mind before they can manifest in reality. Your ability to maintain unwavering clarity about your intentions, especially when faced with obstacles or distractions, largely determines your power to bring them into being. Take a moment now to identify one area of your life where you've been operating with fuzzy intentions. What would absolute clarity look like in this domain? Let your mind explore the details until the picture becomes so sharp that you can practically reach out and touch it. This is the level of clarity that unleashes the full creative power of your mind, allowing you to shape reality rather than simply respond to it. Lesson 8. Mastery requires surrender. The paradox of true power lies in the willingness to let go. We often believe that maintaining iron-fisted control over every aspect of our lives will lead to mastery, yet this approach creates tension, resistance, and ultimately limits our potential. Like a tightly clenched fist that can hold nothing new, our desperate grip on controlling outcomes prevents the flow of greater possibilities into our experience. Consider how nature demonstrates this principle. A mighty oak tree grows tall and strong, not by forcing its way through the soil, but by surrendering to the natural process of growth. It doesn't resist the wind. It dances with it, developing deeper roots and greater flexibility. The river doesn't fight the rocks in its path. It flows around them, wearing them smooth over time while staying true to its essential nature of moving toward the ocean. This same wisdom applies to human achievement and personal power. The martial artist who tries to force their opponent's movement with rigid strength will be defeated by one who remains relaxed and responsive, channeling rather than opposing incoming energy. The entrepreneur who rigidly clings to their original business plan, despite changing market conditions, will be outperformed by one who remains adaptable while staying committed to their core vision. The path to mastery involves a profound trust in the process itself. This doesn't mean becoming passive or abandoning your goals. Rather, it means releasing the exhausting need to control every detail of how those goals manifest. When we surrender our attachment to specific outcomes while maintaining clear intention, we open ourselves to possibilities far greater than our limited minds could have conceived. This surrender requires tremendous courage. It means facing our deep-seated fears about losing control and choosing to trust despite uncertainty. It means accepting that we don't need to know exactly how everything will unfold to take powerful action in the present moment. Most challenging of all, it means embracing the possibility that what actually manifests might be even better than what we originally envisioned. The practice of conscious surrender transforms how we approach challenges. Instead of meeting obstacles with tension and resistance, we learn to flow with them, finding creative solutions through flexibility rather than force. We discover that our power lies not in controlling external circumstances, but in maintaining our center while dancing with whatever life presents. What aspect of your life are you trying to control too tightly right now? Notice how this pattern of control might actually be constraining your power rather than enhancing it. The moment you release your white-knuckled grip on how things should be, you'll discover an enormous reservoir of energy and creativity previously consumed by the effort to maintain control. In this surrender lies the seed of true mastery, not as something to be forced into existence, but as a natural flowering of your authentic power. Lesson 9. Fear serves the master. Fear has earned an undeserved reputation as the enemy of growth and achievement. We've been taught to battle against it, suppress it, or try to eliminate it entirely. But what if fear isn't actually working against you? What if it's simply misunderstood, energy waiting to be properly directed? The most powerful people throughout history didn't achieve their greatness by becoming fearless. They learned to transform fear into fuel. Consider how a rocket uses explosive force not to destroy, but to propel itself beyond Earth's atmosphere. The same principles apply to fear. When properly channeled, fear provides the exact energy needed to break through your current limitations. This transformation begins with a fundamental shift in how you relate to fear. Rather than viewing it as an opponent to be conquered, start seeing it as a loyal servant, eagerly awaiting your instructions. Fear's primary function is to heighten your awareness, sharpen your focus, and prepare your body for peak performance. These are precisely the states needed for extraordinary achievement. The key lies in learning to direct fear's energy rather than being directed by it. When fear arises, rather than immediately reacting to escape the sensation, pause and get curious about it. Where do you feel it in your body? What is it trying to tell you? What possibilities might it be pointing toward? This simple practice begins to shift your relationship with fear from adversary to advisor. Think of fear as a sophisticated alarm system that's been calibrated too sensitively. It's not broken. It's actually working. It's actually working exactly as designed to keep you safe. But in today's world, we need to adjust its settings. Through conscious engagement with fear, you can reset its threshold to activate only when truly needed while channeling its energy for peak performance in other moments. Masters throughout history have understood this secret. Fear is nothing more than dormant power awaiting proper direction. Every time you feel afraid, you're actually sensing the presence of untapped potential. The sensation of fear is your body's way of announcing that you're on the edge of your current capabilities, precisely where all growth occurs. This doesn't mean recklessly ignoring fear's wisdom. Instead, develop the discernment to distinguish between fear that's protecting you from genuine danger and fear that's simply highlighting an opportunity for expansion. When you recognize fear as the faithful servant it truly is, you gain access to an unlimited source of energy for achieving your highest aspirations. Your fear becomes the fuel that propels you toward your greatest potential. The next time fear appears, rather than trying to silence it, ask yourself, how can I use this energy to serve my highest purpose? Let fear guide you toward what matters most while providing the power to pursue it. In this way, what once imprisoned you becomes the very force that sets you free. Lesson 10. Responsibility enables power. The moment you truly understand that you are responsible for everything in your experience, your entire world transforms. This isn't about blame or guilt. It's about recognizing your role as the primary creator of your reality. When you blame others or circumstances for your situation, you unknowingly give away your power to change it. That power remains dormant until you reclaim it through total responsibility. Consider how differently you approach situations when you own them completely. When your business faces challenges, instead of blaming the economy, competitors, or employees, you ask yourself, how did I create or allow this situation? What can I do differently? This shift immediately puts you back in the driver's seat. The same applies to relationships, health, finances, every aspect of life where you might habitually look outside yourself for causes and solutions. This level of responsibility feels uncomfortable at first because it challenges our ego's desire to be right and maintain a positive self-image. Your mind might protest, but I didn't cause that accident, or their behavior was completely unreasonable. Yet, by maintaining your stance of total responsibility, you access hidden dimensions of power. You begin to see how your previous choices, beliefs, and energy contributed to creating each situation. More importantly, you recognize your absolute power to create different outcomes moving forward. The universe responds to this level of ownership in remarkable ways. When you stop expecting others or circumstances to change and take full responsibility for your experience, synchronicities begin to multiply. Opportunities appear that were invisible before. People respond differently to you because they sense your shift from victim to creator. The very energy field around you transforms as you step fully into your power through responsibility. This principle extends beyond individual circumstances to your entire life trajectory. By claiming responsibility for where you are right now, your current level of success, happiness, health, and fulfillment, you simultaneously claim the power to create any future you desire. Every excuse you release, every justification you let go of, adds fuel to your creative capacity. You move from the passenger seat to the pilot's chair of your life. Think of responsibility as a muscle that strengthens with use. Start with small situations where it's easier to maintain complete ownership. Notice how differently events unfold when you approach them from this empowered stance. Gradually expand this practice to more challenging areas of your life. Ask yourself, if I were taking 100th responsibility for this situation, what would I do differently right now? Let the answer guide your next action. The ultimate freedom comes when you no longer need anyone or anything to change for you to experience what you desire. You understand that your power was never limited by external forces. It was only waiting to be claimed through complete responsibility. From this space of total ownership, your potential truly becomes unlimited. Final lesson: unlimited power. As we reach the conclusion of this journey through the principles of unlimited power, it's important to recognize that this ending is merely a beginning. The knowledge you've gained through these pages represents not just information, but transformation, the first steps on a path toward claiming the power that has always resided within you, waiting to be awakened. Throughout history, those who have achieved extraordinary success and fulfillment discovered a fundamental truth. The obstacles you perceive as standing in your way are largely illusions created by limited thinking. The barriers between your current circumstances and your desired reality exist primarily within your own consciousness. By applying the principles you've learned, you've begun dismantling these invisible walls. Remember that unlimited power doesn't manifest overnight. Like a master craftsman honing their skills, you must practice these techniques with patience and persistence. There will be moments of doubt, days when old patterns resurface and tempt you to retreat to familiar limitations. During these times, return to these pages, revisit the principles, and remember that temporary setbacks are merely opportunities for deeper integration. The most profound changes often occur beneath the surface, invisible to everyone but you. As you continue implementing these practices, subtle shifts in your perception will precede dramatic transformations in your external reality. Notice how situations that once seemed threatening now appear as opportunities. Observe how people respond differently to your presence as your internal state evolves. These are not coincidences, but direct reflections of your expanding consciousness. Unlike conventional approaches to change that focus primarily on actions, you've learned that sustainable transformation begins with aligning your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. When these internal elements work in harmony, your actions flow naturally and effortlessly toward your intended outcomes. The universe responds not just to what you do, but to who you are becoming. Perhaps the most important realization is that this power has never been separate from you. It wasn't something to acquire, but something to uncover. Like removing layers of dust from a brilliant diamond, the journey you've undertaken hasn't given you something new, but revealed what was always there, waiting for recognition. As you move forward, share these principles judiciously. Not everyone is prepared to embrace their unlimited potential, and that's perfectly acceptable. Some may resist or dismiss these concepts, preferring the familiarity of limitation. Honor their journey while remaining steadfast in your own. Your greatest contribution to others will come not from convincing them with words, but inspiring them through example. The world desperately needs individuals who understand and embody unlimited power, not to dominate or control, but to create, uplift, and transform. By claiming your power, you become a living demonstration of what's possible, silently inviting others to recognize their own greatness. In this way, your personal journey contributes to a greater awakening of consciousness that extends far beyond your individual life. Remember that unlimited power brings with it unlimited responsibility. As your capacity increases, so does your ability to impact the world around you. Choose to be a force for positive transformation. Use your expanding influence to protect the vulnerable, elevate the discouraged, and create systems that allow others to discover their own power. Finally, approach this journey with both determination and joy. The path to unlimited power isn't meant to be a somber pilgrimage, but a celebration of human potential. Find delight in your discoveries, laughter in your setbacks, and wonder in your growth. The universe responds most generously to those who approach life with grateful anticipation rather than desperate need. You hold in your hands not just a book, but a key, one that unlocks doors previously invisible to you. What lies beyond those doors is limited only by your willingness to step through them. The choice to claim your unlimited power is one you must make not once, but daily, moment by moment, decision by decision. Nothing stands against you anymore except the lingering echoes of old limitations. As these fade into silence, what emerges is your authentic self, powerful beyond measure, connected to all that is, and finally, free to create a life that reflects your highest vision. The journey begins now. Step forward with confidence, knowing that unlimited power flows through you, supports you, and expresses itself as you. The extraordinary life you've glimpsed is not just possible, it is inevitable when you align with the truth of who you really are. Your unlimited power awaits. Claim it.